Hello, everybody. It is time now for my final college football pick show for the 2012 season as we get ready to wrap up the regular season with several conference championship games and some regular season games that will shape out the 2012 season. Let me go ahead and give you my team of the week from last week and my disgrace of the week. We'll begin with my team of the week. I'm going to give it to Ohio State. Look, last year Ohio State was awful at 6-7, and of course they just recently had to deal with all the crap off the field with Jim Tressel, of course Terrell Pryor, all that stuff. Of course they hired Urban Meyer, one of the best things that university ever did. What's Urban Meyer done? Well, not much. They went undefeated this year. Now, you might say they didn't play a tough schedule. You might say they had a lot of close calls against inferior competition. I don't care. 12-0 is 12-0. When you can coach at a school in your very first year and go undefeated, and when you have won 2 national championships at Florida, and when you took a non-BCS team like Utah to a BCS bowl game and won, you are one of the best coaches in our generation, and that's what Urban Meyer is. And what's even scarier for Ohio State is that next year they'll be off the probation, so they'll be competing at the top. They'll be able to play in the Big Ten Championship. They'll be able to possibly play for a national championship. They return almost everybody next year. Urban Meyer, flat out put, knows how to coach no matter where you put him. And you might say, well, Jim Tressel won the national championship 10 years ago. But you know something? Urban Meyer is 10 times the coach that Jim Tressel ever was. I can promise you this, he's got 100 times the character of Jim Tressel as well. So Ohio State, you're not going to a bowl game this year. You're not going to a national championship. But you know what? 12-0, not too shabby at all. My team of the week, Ohio State. And my disgrace of the week, it's going to go to the Big East Conference. And that's because no matter if it's Louisville or Rutgers who emerges from that conference to represent that league in the upcoming BCS Major Bowl game, they're not going to finish in the final 16 in the BCS standings come Sunday. That's important because if Kent State wins on Friday night, they will finish ahead of the Big East champion and more than likely place in the top 16, which would allow Kent State, if it's them, to go to a major bowl game and would take a team like Oklahoma out of the mix otherwise. And, by the way, the Big East would still get to go to a major bowl game despite not being ranked in the top 16. How do you like them apples? Look, it's a complete joke. We saw this 2 years ago when Connecticut, an 8-4 Connecticut squad, got to play in the major bowl game, and Oklahoma beat them by 28 points. Not only was Connecticut outmatched in that Fiesta Bowl, but there were a lot of unsold Connecticut tickets for that game, so a lot of their fans didn't even make the trip to Arizona. That tells you how big of a joke it was to even have Connecticut there. Look, in a couple of years, I know the BCS is going to be done with. We'll have the 14 playoff, and stuff like this isn't going to happen anymore. But pretty much the damage is done, and we're seeing it unfold right now. It's making major bowl games an absolute joke. And you want to see Kent State versus Florida, it's probably going to happen. And it's going to happen because the Big East Conference, BCS Conference, can't get a team into the top 16 in the final BCS standings. It's not going to happen, and therefore you're going to have to hope that Northern Illinois beats Kent State and that Northern Illinois doesn't get into the top 16. Big East Conference, thanks for absolutely nothing. You're my disgrace of the week, and you might be my disgrace of the year, and you're definitely the biggest disgrace that the BCS has ever seen. Now, it's time for my picks. Okay, everybody, time now for my picks. Before we go over that, let's go over how we did last week. For yours truly, it was my best week ever picking games. It didn't look that way in the beginning. I lost my Thanksgiving game, lost my 2 Friday games, and then when Saturday came, bam! There went the dynamite. Went 9-1 that day against the spread for the week, 9-4. 2 games better than the coin, who went 7-6. So the coin for the year, of course, it's already won the championship. That's academic. 76, 57, and 2 for the season for the coin. If you've gone with the coin so far this year, you've been a winner pretty much. You're on the upside. For yours truly, we're catching up, but we're still below 500, 13 games behind. I'm at 63, 70, and 2, 7 games below 500. It's going to take a pretty strong week, but if I get it I'll be flirting with 500 or going above 500, which a few weeks ago looked impossible. The beginning of the season absolutely killed me, and I take responsibility for that. So, we got 1 week to go. Let's go ahead and start picking Friday games, beginning with the Mid-American Conference Championship game, which is significant in terms of the BCS. Northern Illinois, a 6.5-point favorite, but it's actually Kent State, who's at 17th in the BCS. Northern Illinois, I think they're at 21 or 22 right now. Kent State wins. They probably will get to number 16 and probably will nail a BCS at large. I think both teams have a lot riding on this game because if Northern Illinois wins, keep in mind, they could move up enough spots to number 16. It'll be pretty close. Hopefully Northern Illinois wins because there's that chance that they may not get that high in the standings. I'm going to say Kent State plus a 6.5 because I think this will be a pretty close game. I think 6.5 is too many points, but go Northern Illinois to win this game. Give me 6.5 on the Kent State side plus 6.5. If the coin lands on heads, it's going to go with the favorite, tails, underdog. And in this case, the coin lands on tails, so it's going to go with the favorite, Northern Illinois, in this game. Pac-12 Championship is on Friday as well. A rematch of last week's game between UCLA and Stanford. And last week, UCLA got trounced by the Cardinal at home. This time, it's like a home-at-home. For the Pac-12 Championship, they're going to be playing this one at Palo Alto. Stanford proved last week they were the better team. They'll prove it this week, too. Give me the Cardinal minus the 8 to win the Pac-12 and go to the Rose Bowl. Stanford minus the 8. Coin is going to go with Stanford, too. And Big East does not have a conference championship game, but this is almost like a conference title game. Louisville at Rutgers. Rutgers with the win gets the Big East title outright with a 6-1 record. But if Louisville wins, they would force a 3-way tie. And if Cincinnati beats Connecticut on Saturday, you would have a 4-way tie. Whether it's a 3 or 4-way tie, it would come down to the BCS standings on Sunday. The team that's ranked the highest in that tiebreaker would get the BCS bid from that conference. It would more than likely be Louisville. Louisville's lost their last 2 games, I know, but Rutgers last week, losing their first conference game of the year, but they lost it bad. They lost it horribly to Pittsburgh. I think Louisville bounces back. Give me the Cardinal on the road, plus the 3 against the Scarlet Knights, and to represent that league for the BCS, and the coin is going to go with Louisville as well. Now let's focus on Saturday. We're going to go to Big 12, which of course does not have a conference title game either. Kansas State at home against Texas. Wildcats, a huge favorite in this game. They had a bye week last week. They're favored by 11.5. Texas will not have David Ash. He's injured. Case McCoy looks like he'll get the start. K-State, we know about their terrific track record against Texas, won 4 in a row. But they're playing at home as well. K-State needs a win to get at least a share of the Big 12 championship with OU. Plus, they would represent the league for that BCS spot for the Fiesta Bowl since they beat OU head-to-head. My heart's going to be with Texas for once in my life for Saturday night for 3.5 hours. I'm rooting for Texas, but if you're going with my mind, it says Kansas State's going to cover. Give me K-State minus the 11.5, and hopefully I'm wrong. I wouldn't mind losing this pick. The coin, by the way, likes Kansas State too. You have Oklahoma State at Baylor. Look for a lot of points in this one in Waco. Baylor winning in overtime last week against Texas Tech. Oklahoma State losing in overtime last week to OU. But Oklahoma State's got the better athletes, and I think Oklahoma State comes in pretty pissed off after what happened in Norman last Saturday. Give me the Cowboys minus the 4, and the coin is going to agree with me and take the Cowboys. You have Kansas at West Virginia. The Mountaineers became bowl eligible last week thanks to winning last Friday against Iowa State. Kansas, the only Big 12 team of the 10 who's not going to a bowl game, and they will show in this one. West Virginia will wax them in Morgantown. Give me the Mountaineers minus the 20, and the coin is going to go with West Virginia too. Now we're going to go to the Mountain West Conference. No championship game here, but Boise State can finish the season in a 3-way tie for the championship with, I believe, Fresno and San Diego State, but they'll have to win at Nevada. I think they'll do that. I think they're much better than Nevada. Give me Boise State minus the 9.5. The only intrigue in this one will be, will Boise State have a good enough showing for the human voters? This game will be on national TV Saturday at 2:30 on ABC. Boise State needs a big push in the BCS standings. They'll try to get it from the human voters. They won't get it from the computers because the computers have them pretty low, and I think that part will stay. And I don't think Boise State's going to move into the top 16. But I do think Boise will win. Give me the Broncos minus the 9.5. Coin is going to go with the Wolfpack of Nevada. Now, the following 4 games, the final 4, will be all conference championship games. This is a non-BCS conference title game, Conference USA. Tulsa hosting Central Florida. Tulsa did not look good last week against SMU, but the whole Golden Hurricane are going to be playing at home, one of the biggest home games that they've ever had, and I think they respond like champions. Give me the Golden Hurricane at home -2 over Central Florida, and the coin is going to go with Tulsa too. ACC Championship, Florida State playing against Georgia Tech. Both teams last week got beat up quite a bit. Georgia Tech got trounced by Georgia. Florida State did not have a good fourth quarter as Florida beat them. But no shame in losing to the Gators. They're having an outstanding season. Florida State, there's a big reason why they're a 14-point favorite. They're much better than Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech coming from a weak Coastal Division. Florida State, the better team. Give me the Seminoles -14 and to go to the Orange Bowl where they'll probably play against the Big East champion. The Seminoles -14 and the coin's going to go with Georgia Tech. Big Ten Championship, Nebraska against Wisconsin. These teams played earlier in the year. Nebraska won that ball game. You might be saying, why is Nebraska at 10-2 and having a much better year than Wisconsin, only favored in this game by 3? Big reason why I think is because Nebraska has won a lot of close games this year, but that's what really good teams do. Both teams run the ball very well, but I think Nebraska's defense will be the difference in this one. Give me the Huskers to beat Wisconsin for the second time this year. Give me them to cover the spread -3 and to win the Big Ten and to go to the Rose Bowl. Nebraska -3, and the coin is going to agree with me again. Nebraska, that's who the coin likes. And finally, SEC Championship. Who will play Notre Dame for the national championship? Number 2 Bama or number 3 Georgia? That's a $64,000 question. You got two good defenses going in this one, but I think Bama's got the better defense. I think the big thing about this whole scenario is that when A&M beat Bama, Bama only slid to number 4 in the BCS standings, which meant that K-State and Oregon, when they lost, gave Bama a second chance. Bama's at number 2, and I have that gut feeling if you give Nick Saban a second opportunity, he's going to take advantage of it. He got a second chance last year after losing to LSU in the regular season, came back and won the national championship. Lost this year, and he's getting a second opportunity, and I don't think he's going to waste it, at least not to getting to the national title. Give me Bama to win at the Georgia Dome, -7 against the Bulldogs, and the coin is going to go with Georgia. Notre Dame, Alabama, I don't know who will win that national championship game, but I can tell you one thing, it's going to be pretty low scoring. By the way, for the results of these games, since we're not going to have another pick show, I will have my 4th annual Big 12 Bowl Preview Show in which I'll preview all the bowl games between yours truly and the coin. I'll have that bowl preview show in a couple of weeks, and at the end of that show, I'll review my weekly standings as well as the overall standings between yours truly and the coin. My OU post-game show, by the way, will be Saturday afternoon, shortly after the OU-TCU game has wrapped up. Thanks for watching.